Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Powerful on Purpose podcast, where we talk to freaking cool women who are doing amazing things in the world, using their story, their experience to build businesses and change lives. And today is no exception. Amanda is also one of the authors of the Wake Up Revolution book. Super excited to share that with you. It's super pleased to introduce you to Amanda Greening. Amanda is a registered nurse and a certified life coach, and she helps women reclaim their identity outside their role in healthcare. Because after years in high acuity settings and leadership roles, she understands how easy it is to be consumed by caring for others while losing connection to yourself. Her work focuses on supporting women in untangling who they are from what they do so they can create lives that feel aligned, energized, and sustainable. Through coaching, she guides clients to rebuild self-trust, set meaningful boundaries, and redefine success on their own terms. Her approach blends real-world clinical experience with honest, compassionate coaching that meets women where they are without perfection, pressure, or pretense. And that's all the things we're about here. So welcome, Amanda. So happy to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Cool. Well, you have a really powerful and interesting story. When we met, I was like, oh my gosh, I love you. I love the story and where you're taking that business. So tell us a little bit about what it is you do and why you said, wait a minute, I think this could be my calling in life.
Well, what I really like to do is I like to help women understand that their profession is what they do. It's really not who they are. And it is something that women put all these expectations on ourselves. A lot of them are self-imposed because we try to do it all. And to help women understand that they don't need to do it all and they can leave work behind is one of the most beautiful gifts that I've been able to help women with. Learn the hard way. I was a newborn ICU nurse and I got in a car accident. And that was the hardest time for me because my identity, I always used to introduce myself as, I'm Amanda, I'm a newborn ICU nurse. And so it took a lot for me to understand that that's not who I was. That's what I did. That was one of the gifts that God gave me to be able to help people in the nursing role, but that's not who I am. And I love helping women understand that they are more than just their profession, just clocking in. And they don't need to bring it home. And they have every ability in them to enjoy life outside work.
Right? And beautifully said. And one of the things that struck me too, I think, was because I'm not a nurse, but I have several nurse friends, and I think it can be very all-consuming, right? It's you are vested in really caring for people. It's crazy hours, a lot of emotional highs and lows, I'm guessing, wherever you are in a nursing setting.
Yes, absolutely. And it is. And we as nurses, we bring a lot of it home all the time. You can't just go home and be like, and not worry about your patient that wasn't doing well or things like that. And we bring it home and then it just compounds with everything. And then we add on that we do work those long hours. It's a 12-hour shift at the bedside, but it's really not. When you're up for 18, 19 hours and have to turn around and come back, it's a lot that you're carrying. And as women and as nurses, especially, we just keep putting it on, making sure everyone else is taken care of before we take care of ourselves.
Absolutely, right? You're the bottom of the food chain, basically.
Yes. And that's self-imposed as well. We are very good at doing that to ourselves.
Well, yeah, because you have that empathetic heart and I want to save the world. And this is absolutely. No, I totally get that. Was there a moment that you realized you couldn't keep doing it that way? I know you spoke to the car accident, but I'm guessing there might have been a moment even before that.
A lot of moments before that. There were times where I was coming home and just so upset, rehashing and replaying conversations or emails or things that may have happened at work. And by the time I got home, I had no energy left and I was snapping at people. I do mention about my daughter. I would come home and I would snap at her over the dumbest things, like the shoes in the floor. Not because it was a big deal, but because I had no more to give. And when you have no more to give, I felt like I was just a shell of a person. And I just went through the motions. And after all those times of crying and understanding, yes, I give up my holidays, I give up everything, but I get the opportunity to spend those with other people who really need us there at the hospital. And that wasn't even part of it. It was just another thing that made me feel like, oh man, this is really starting to wear on me. I'm starting to miss out on, my daughter's games, things like that. And then family stops like inviting you to do things because you have no energy to do it. And so those were more of the things that hit home for me that I knew something had to change.
Right, right. And so do you see now that the accident was a gift in some ways, that it forced that change? Or
That is a beautiful way to look at that. At the time, I would have said absolutely no. My life was in shambles. But I really do believe it was what I needed, that physical force to stop me. Because I could not be that nurse. And we actually didn't know if I would be that nurse again. And I have been able to return. But it was that physical stop that made me really dig deep and learn how to change my identity and learn to embrace the things that I love, that I'm good at. Now, nursing has definitely attributed to who I am, my character and everything like that. My compassion, my integrity, my trustworthiness. These are all things that nursing really put deep down in my foundation. And so I was able to also figure out who else I was outside nursing. I am able to be that friend who has the energy to text, call, hang out, be that better wife to my husband where we're able to have those conversations and he is able to ask me things about my day and I'm able to tell him about my day.
how has your lived experience shaped the way you lead today?
Say that I am able to listen to people a lot more, to figure out where they're coming from, to figure out a lot of times that women and people in general just want to be heard and acknowledged. And when you're having a hard time finding those words as well, it's nice to have someone just sit back and just kind of listen and see if they can help you figure out where you're coming from or what you're feeling that you're unable to put words to. And I feel like I'm able to do that with a lot of women and just be able to sit back and go, I've been there. I know what that feels like. And there's nothing that can replace that experience of being there and getting past it.
Right. And then being able to hold space for other people who are going through that same transition, if you will.
Yes, yes. And it's great to be able to do that and hold no judgment. You can't judge someone that, because even if they go through the almost exact same thing as I do, we're two different people. And you can't hold that judgment because someone's going to react to things different than I did. But I'm able to be there and support and love.
Right. And such a powerful thing to help people through that. So what's a truth about women and power that you believe more of us need to hear?
I think a truth that more women need to hear is that it might be a little controversial, but people don't think about us as much as we think they think about us. We're always so worried about what other people are thinking of us and that we need to perform to their standards. And that's not the truth. The truth is the only person that you need to hold yourself responsible to is yourself and be able to live the life you want to live and not worry about everyone else. And once we're able to separate that and just, you live such a happier life. You're able to connect more. You're able to let things go. And I think that's the truth women need to hear.
And I love that, right? Because we're so bombarded by the outward,
yes.
Right? You need, whatever it is. And especially a woman to raise that way. But now with all the visual stuff, it's a real bombardment. So I really appreciate that simplicity of saying, wait a minute, really, people aren't thinking about you all that much, right? I mean, that's a reality.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing is one of my favorite sayings is comparison is the thief of joy. And that is so true. And learning that you are in a different place than anyone else is something that us as women just need to accept and embrace.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Cool. And so what are you building now that's stretching you beyond your current comfort zone?
Building my nurse life coach business. I'm still working under my nursing license and I will continue to do so. I worked too hard to get that. And what I do is I meet one-on-one with women and we have discussions. We get to talk about where they are in life, what's tripping them up, what's the heaviest thing that they're carrying, and how can we get you from one point to the other. And a lot of time that is we have to dig deep into what their personal values are. And then we start asking them, okay, one of your personal values, for me, it's honesty. And so one of the things I do is I ask myself, am I being honest in this conversation, in this relationship I'm having with someone? And if I'm not, what are the ways I can go around making it an honest one? Or is it something that really is not building my life up? And so we do that. We go through and we ask women, what are some of your values? And there's a difference between your professional values and your personal values.
Sure.
And so learning that you need to live to your personal values and not your professional is where you start building. And then you start working towards, and those decisions will start making boundaries. And when you make those boundaries, they're healthy boundaries. And you can start living that personal life that upholds those values. And you're going to be surprised how much better you'll feel, or how much more energy you have by just cutting out the things that don't matter in life because they don't align to your values.
Right. And I think that's another topic that there's not enough conversation around is values. And I love that you brought up this difference between professional and personal values.
Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes people can they can be completely divergent, right? Mm-hmm. And for some of us, that doesn't make any sense. Just saying, right? I'm like, how can you rectify that in your head? But we do. And then it creates that division that you're talking about of who am I in and who am I in what place? Can you speak a little bit? Because we talked about this before, the nurse life coach, because I didn't even realize that this was kind of a thing. And I think it's so interesting and probably so needed for nursing specifically, right?
Yeah. So nurse life coaching is you already need to be a nurse. And there are programs that are in place where you go and you do so many like continuing education hours. We do something like clinicals where we're coaching people and we're building on the foundations of nursing. For nursing for the past 25 years, they have been rated the most trustworthy profession. And I mean, and it was before that as well, but 9/11 happened and firefighters got it, which they should have. But so we have the trustworthy, the integrity. Nurses are very good at speaking up for their patients when their patients feel like they can't speak up. We're really good advocates. And so these are all things that over many, many years that nurses really get good at and really are able to assess the person, not just what you're saying to me, but your body language or the hesitation when you said something else, which gives us more kind of like a sixth sense to be able to ask those questions that could possibly lead us down to more of what the foundation problem is and not what you just want to put out. And so nurse coaches most people think we're only here for nurses. That's not true. We're here for everyone. But it's a beautiful thing that we have that's being built that goes along with our nursing license. We got to keep those up to date too, that we're able to really dig deep and actually serve the population in a whole different way than just going in and starting an IV and giving you medication. But we're able to really work with you as a whole person. And starting with, what's going on inside, deep down inside, because what's going on inside actually ripples out to everything else. And so I think it's a beautiful thing that nurses are able to step into that.
Absolutely. I do too. And I think it's great that you help the general population. And I also think it's wonderful because I'm guessing, like we've talked, that nursing is, you are the most empathetic, you are the most trustworthy. That has a lot of weight that comes with it, right? And then you add on crazy schedules, long hours. Honestly, I do not think I would be capable of those, 12-hour shifts, a couple off, and then you're back again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very taxing for anybody.
Yeah, it really is. But don't get me wrong, there's plenty of blessings. Absolutely.
Yeah, nope, I can see that too. But I think it's nice to have that person then to go to who understands both the ups and downs of that profession that the general population might not, right? And probably does not.
That is true. There's a lot of, I know nurses' families that do not understand
Right.
how taxing it is. And what do you mean you have to work this holiday? And so having the extra support and love in the community is something that's definitely needed, because nurses right now, especially, are extremely burnt out because they're not taking care of themselves. They're not giving themselves the love and grace to take care of themselves.
Absolutely, right? And I think that's why it's so valuable to have someone who has that life coaching experience to say, hey, I get exactly what you're going through, right? No need to go down any rabbit holes or over explain or tell me, because I've been there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of my secret weapons I keep in my tool belt.
Part of your cape.
Yeah,
So,
yes.
yeah. If you could sit across from the woman you were before everything shifted for you, what would you tell her?
You don't have to have control of everything. That you need to learn that there's only so little in this world that you have control of. And most of it stems from you yourself and your thoughts. And I think that would be the one thing I would really impress on myself before. Because learning to give up the control was the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in nursing, you are meant to be in control, right? Like you're in control of doctors, patients, lots of different things. So, yeah, and I think that surrender piece is so important.
Yeah, yeah. It's absolutely one of the hardest things I've ever learned is how to give up the control.
Right, right. Any advice you would give for people of what's one tiny step to start that process?
One tiny step to start the process of giving up control is just taking that moment if something's bothering you and really reflect inside and really be like, do I have control over this? I mean, for example, like tripping over my daughter's shoes. I didn't have control that the shoes were on the floor. But yes, I did have control over my reaction to it. So if you take that moment, step back, and just ask yourself, what's in my control? And if it's not in your control, figure out what is. And that's all you can really affect.
Right. And then being able to kind of let go of the rest, right?
Yes, that's the hardest thing. It still trips me up to this day, and it's still a work in progress, and it will be probably for my life.
Right.
But I do find ways of checking back in with myself, remembering that there's no pressure here, just figuring out what I can do. And then I can't control that. See you later. It's not my rock to carry, and drop it.
There you go. I like that. Thinking about it as rocks.
Yeah.
So what are you building now, and how can people step into that with you?
So I am really building a safe space for people to come in and really start exploring how they're feeling deep down inside, how they're feeling if they're feeling like something's wrong. And that's usually where it starts. Something's wrong, and I can't really put my finger on it. I'm tired all the time. I'm irritable all the time. I am constantly checking my email, even though it's Friday night at 9:00. And so just kind of taking that moment to be able to be like, something's wrong and I need a little bit of help understanding. And having that safe space where they can be vulnerable and they can just open up and be listened to. A lot of times we just want to be listened to. And then as we start listening, we start talking ourselves down a path that we didn't know was really bothering us. So I'm building a safe space, an area of love, no judgment. There's no perfection there. There's no pressure. You're able to be yourself and own in that. And then be able to start slowly working towards, we don't work with goals. I work more with the process of how to get to somewhere. Because once you reach a goal, the goal is done. And then your happiness was hitting that goal. And now what do? But if you change your process, over time, those processes become your habits and you realize that you're living that way. For example, like if a woman's like, I really want to run a marathon. Well, we have the marathon, you train for it, and now you're done. What are you doing? But if we dig deeper, I actually want to live a more healthy life, to have a stronger body as I get older. In my last chapter of life, I want to be strong. That's different than running a marathon. How do we go about changing that process? Those little small increments to get us there. So that's another thing I'm building, is just trying to get people to understand that that's how you make those changes that are sustainable in life, and to dream bigger. What is your dream? And then increase it. Just a small amount, 1 or 2%, and you can really get there.
Yeah, that's juicy. And I know you mentioned on your website you're going to have some free resources too.
Yes. There's a quiz there to help you understand if you are living your personal or professional values, and it will help you guide that way. And then there's also a sign up for a weekly newsletter as well, just insights, tips, and tricks. And so there's just a way to connect and feel like you're being heard. And if you have those questions on what are my personal values, absolutely, that's why I'm here, that we can start talking about that as well.
You're like the caretaker for caretakers. And so many of us are caretakers, no matter our profession, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And we will put Amanda's website in the show notes. So any last word of wisdom you want to share, Amanda?
The last word of wisdom, I would say that every person needs to understand that their self-worth is not their productivity. Their self-worth comes from deep down inside, and they deserve to live the life that they are building and really want to live. I would say I
love that. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you. Everybody else, subscribe to get more powerful conversations, and look for the Wake Up Revolution book with amazing Amanda and all the other fabulous women who are sharing their stories, really building businesses and creating missions from their lived experience.